Our gospel lesson today is the gospel according to Mark, chapter 10, verses 35 through 45. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." And he said to them, "What is it you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Grant us to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your glory." But Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" They replied, "We are able." Then Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and with the baptism which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. So Jesus called them and said to them, "You know that among the Gentiles, those whom they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. But it is not so among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave to all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ. Our passage today out of Mark, I see it as a continuation of what we've actually discussed over the last 2 Sundays when we were looking at the Job series. Jesus, in the story here, just prior to the story picking up today with their walking down the road, they're heading back, continuing on their journey to Jerusalem. Jesus had just finished telling his disciples once again, this is not the first time, this is one of many times he told them, but he has just finished telling them again that he's going to Jerusalem and that he's going to be arrested by the authorities. They're going to put him on trial. They're going to find him guilty. They're going to crucify him. And in 3 days, he's going to rise from the dead and begin a new way of understanding God. And the disciples, again, these apostles, the 12, don't seem to quite grasp what that means. To them, they're still looking for that warrior king. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, it's interesting, just a little side note on this particular passage, on this story, is in Mark here, we have the 2 brothers, James and John, coming to Jesus and saying, "Put us in positions of responsibility, put us in positions of authority, put us in positions of leadership, your left and your right hand." In the Matthew version, Matthew kind of deflects a little bit off of the 2 brothers and lays it on Mrs. Zebedee, the son or the mother of James and John. She comes to Jesus and says, "Put my 2 sons in positions of prominence." And Luke kind of just blows over the whole thing. There was a discussion on the road, and Jesus then confronts them, but he doesn't say what the discussion was about. Mark really tells us what this discussion was all about. That James and John had come to Jesus and says, "We want positions of authority, we want positions of leadership. We want to be looked at as positions of high authority and high respect inside this community." And once again, I think our passage today is talking about attitude. The attitude we have when we come to church, or into ministry, or into the work of God, which is represented here in the church. The attitude you come with, the attitude you bring with you, the attitude you leave with. That, I think, is what this message is about, and what it's been about over the last 2 weeks. How do you present yourself How do you respond? When the world's calamities come around you, when all of a sudden you are in the midst of some just desperate situation, how do you respond? We saw that Job responded by faith. He knelt down, although he did not understand what was going on. He completely failed to, could not grasp why this was happening to him, because he was living in a right life. Could not understand it. But he never lost that faith. He never lost his relationship with God. And then last week, the same kind of lesson is brought out. His friends all tell him, you are the one that's at fault here. You are the one. And Job responds with, but I have lived a righteous life. And in fact, if I could stand before the judge, he would judge me to be a righteous man. And again, failing to understand, not understanding why all this was happening to him, he maintains his righteous faith in God. Regardless of his station or his position or where he is in life. His attitude is still one of faith and respect and love for God. That fear of God. The apostles do not seem to understand that yet. They're looking at this as, how am I going to benefit out of this? Not realizing, not recognizing, not fully understanding what it means to be in the place where they are. In relationship with Jesus. In relationship with the ministry that they are getting ready to move out into the world. They do not fully grasp what it means to be a follower of Jesus. That it's not to lift yourself up, but to lift up others. That Jesus' ministry, that the ministry that the apostles are going to pick up when Jesus is gone, is not, look how powerful and strong I've become, but look how I can help. Look how I can be of service. Not only to my fellows here in this congregation or in this group or in this body, but also those outside the body. Those that are coming to find connection, find meaning. That my relationship with all of that is not to lift me up, but instead to lift you up. And then effective leadership is what Jesus is telling them, that effective leadership is not lording it over others, demanding higher status, demanding recognition, but instead, the leadership should be humble, quiet. And I say lead by example. They didn't fully grasp all of this. They didn't understand. But we can understand. We can look at this now after 2,000 years of history and look back and say, here is what we believe Jesus meant. That we are to set aside our own personal goals, our own personal ambitions, our own personal desires, our narcissistic view of how we should be in the world, that self-centered view, and instead look out. And in my leadership, in my role as a leader, how can I serve? This reminds me so much of 1 Samuel, the very beginnings of 1 Samuel, before Saul is selected. And the people keep coming to Samuel, and they keep telling Samuel, we want a king so we can be like everybody else. We want a leader who will lead us and guide us and move us forward. And Samuel tells them, he says, you know, we can do that, but here's what's going to cost you. That the leadership that you choose that's going to lead us will be more self-serving than serving of you. He's going to take 10% of your crops, and it's not going to be the bad part of the crops. It's not going to be that corner of your property that did not get enough water, and so the grain is weak. It's going to be the best of your crops. And he's going to take 10%. What's he going to do with that 10%? He's going to feed the 10% of your children, and your grandchildren, and your progeny. He's going to feed the 10% of the cattle, and the sheep, and the goats, and all that he takes. That's what he's going to use, that 10% of the grain that he's taking from you. And he'll set himself up in royal robes. And that's how it will be. And it will be, how can I keep power? Instead of, what can I do for you? How can I keep you healthy, happy, moving forward, and lifted up in life? Which is what the leader is supposed to do. Attitude. Why do we serve? Do we serve because it serves me, or us, or myself better? Does it lift me up? Is that why I serve? It lifts me up. It puts me in a better position. Puts me in a position of leadership where I can lord it over others? No. That's not what it's supposed to be. A servant serves. And a leader who is effective serves those that they lead. Amen.